Hey guys, welcome back to Bluntly Talking. This is our 54th episode, and today we're doing the Witch's Corner Wiccan Holidays. Hey ladies, how's it going?
It's going good.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Alright ladies, so before we start, as always, just a quick reminder and a disclaimer to everyone that our content is created for entertainment purposes only. While we aim to share fun, engaging, and informative material, it should not be taken as professional advice or guidance. Any opinions expressed are personal and not intended to represent any organization or brand. Viewer discretion is advised, and we encourage everyone to do their own research before making decisions based on the content shared. So by watching or interacting with our videos, our streams, you acknowledge that you are engaging with entertainment content. So please use the information responsibly, and remember to enjoy yourselves. Thank you. Okay, now that that is out of the way, like I mentioned at the beginning, today we're discussing pagan slash Wiccan holidays that we celebrate today. And first off, I'm going to give off a little definition of what pagan or Wiccan, what that means. Quick Google search, and this is what it says. Paganism is a term used to describe a variety of religions and spiritual practices that are based on nature and are often polytheistic. The word pagan comes from the Latin word paganus, which means country dweller or civilian. Early Christians first used the term in the 4th century to describe people in the Roman Empire who practiced religions other than Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. And some names for pagan practices include Wicca, witch, heathen, druid, fair traditions, solitary practitioner, and eclectic. Yeah, we thought it would be interesting to do this today because a lot of times I feel like this is brought up, especially during Halloween, because it's a devil's holiday, and then the other people, no, it's not, or it's just for fun, it's just for the kids, blah, 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 blah. But there are so many holidays, including Halloween, which we will cover, but there's other things that we do normally, and people, religious people, Christians, they do it too, and they don't even realize where the origin of this came from. So, okay, Masika, enlighten us. What is the first holiday that we're going to touch upon today?
So the first holiday we're going to touch upon is actually Yule, which falls in the month of Christmas.
Okay.
It's not exactly on the Christmas day itself, if I'm believing this correctly. Okay, so Yule is between, well, the most, I guess, like days it's celebrated on the most is between the 19th and the 23rd. So not
Of
like
what
on
month? December?
of December, yes. So not exactly
Okay.
like on the 25th itself, but no, yeah, like definitely on the month itself. So Yule is for a celebration of, again, it's celebration of the rebirth and the longevity of like a long night and renewal. So basically it's like you're saying goodbye to the old and welcoming in for the new. Yeah, so you're celebrating like, okay, like you've like everything that's come and pass, like not exactly saying goodbye, but like saying a fond farewell, and then you're welcoming in the new for like, okay, now like what's the new start, the years and things like that, and like celebrating of like the new adventures and stuff and like beginnings that you're going to see and receive. And from what I understand, it's almost sounds similar to like how Christmas is. They've done, I know like some with Yule specifically, that instead of actually cutting down the tree, like a family will all pick together a specific tree. They'll decorate it, put it on things on there for like either like they'll write it on either a rock, piece of wood, or like fabric or paper, and they'll put it on the tree. And I remember they said like if it manages to stay on there towards the end of the Yule, then like it more than likely means that your wishes and your dreams have reached out into like the universe or who you're praying to, and it will come true. Like it will come true within the next year, or like be more fruitful.
Well, and you know what? That's so weird because I think about things, because this reminds me actually of New Year's. That makes me think of what is it, the Yule time? It makes me think of New Year's right now because I remember growing up for New Year's, we would always be like, get the 12 grapes. And right on New Year's, you're supposed to eat a grape, and for each grape it's like a wish.
Mm-hmm.
So that just reminded me of that. I don't even know where that, if it's just a Hispanic tradition, if it was just it wasn't, yeah, well, yeah, like our family tradition, just us. And I don't even know where that began. But I know that I never liked doing it. I would do it, but I never liked it. I don't think it was just an us thing because if
I
you,
know other families who did it.
yeah, and if you go to the store around here anyways, where we live, they always have like grapes, like displayed around New Year's because of that. So like that, I think that's an example of things that we've done, not realizing that it's Wiccan, really.
No, yeah, I know for a fact that a lot of the holidays were either like converted or like made to be forgotten because, Christianity, again, not dissing on Christianity and anything, but like at the time, like they wanted to be like the one main religion. So like they converted the ones that were more popular and which are ones that weren't as popular. Like they pretty much try to make people to forget it. This way it's like, okay, like the whole like, oh, we invented it. Like, we started this.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, it's like, no, you just took the idea and try to make it into your own. Which again, like,
Right.
is, Christmas itself, like, it is fun. The kids love it and everything. It's brings family together and stuff like that. But I hate how, like, when I remember as a kid, whenever, like, I did ask, I can't remember if it was in school or in church, one of the two. I asked, like, who invented Christmas, and this answer was the same thing. Like everyone kept saying, like, oh no, yeah, like Christians did because of God, like he was born today, it's his birthday, we're celebrating for him, and that just never really felt like a good enough answer for me. And I was like, I feel like that's not exactly right, but okay. But I, as a kid myself too, like I really didn't like much more into it until I got older.
I also saw that for Christmas Day, that pagans actually, instead of celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, they were actually celebrating the sun god's birth.
Mm.
I'm not gonna read the last name, but the sun god's name is Sol. But yeah, like he was born on that day, so that was who they were celebrating.
That makes a lot of sense. I've heard the name Soul brought up a couple times too.
Hmm. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I didn't know that it was like that there was another like it was basically someone else's birthday. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So that's pretty cool that I found. Another thing that I was saying that also has to do with Christmas. You know that we grew up believing in Santa Claus,
Mm-hmm.
and what do we do on the night of Christmas when it's time to go to bed and you want the kids to go to bed and you're over here like, oh, Santa's coming, you guys gotta go to bed now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, most that I know have always left cookies and milk out for Santa Claus, right? It's like
Yeah.
a way to show the kids, like, oh, look, he was here, or whatever. But in all honesty, that's like an offering to Santa Claus.
Hmm.
Like, if you think about it, kind of like when some of us that, like, if we have, for an instance, like a shrine, and we find something that we believe that whoever the shrine belongs to would like, what do? We get it and we put it on the shrine as an offering.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're doing with Santa Claus, and more of like, well, if my kids behave, they will receive a gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was something that I don't think a lot of people who participate with that actually realize that they're doing this.
No, of course not. I guess the holidays they got twisted, through for religious reasons, really.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And it's so crazy, right? Because I've seen these what do you call them? A lot of people make comments and memes about, why was everybody concerned about who, oh, wait, I think I'm butchering it. Something like, why did we even care who was burning witches when we should have been asking, like, these were real women or something like that. I just butchered it. I know I did. But it's true. We've known this, that witches were burned at the stake for years, hundreds of years this went on.
Yeah.
But it's like how hypocritical, right? When all of these things we do today, religious people do, for example, birthdays, the blowing of the candles,
Hmm.
all of that has ties to pagan and Wiccan traditions. Yet religious people still do that.
Yep.
And then, they would turn around and point the finger. And still today, I mean, it's more acceptable now, but sometimes it's not.
Mm-hmm.
People, you still get the looks, you still get the stares, you still get the, oh, she's a witch. Oh, this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
which is so crazy to me.
And how many times at this point, if you're on social media, you get the we should bring back the burning of the stakes.
100%.
No, I remember like on YouTube news and then TikTok news. There was actually, I don't remember where. I want to say either in California or somewhere around here in the East Coast. There was this person again who also owned her own witch shop, and apparently she got the cops called on her for I forgot what, but pretty much for like being a witch practitioner. I forgot what BS excuse they use for reasons for telling her to like shut down for that day, but she was like pretty much like it's because like she was a witch practitioner and that somebody apparently felt unsafe, so they called the cops.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. See, it still happens.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
So moving on, what is another holiday?
So another holiday, this one isn't exactly celebrated anymore, it's kind of like forgotten. But when I read about it, and to me it's just like, why aren't we celebrating this anymore? And this one's called Imbolc. So it's celebrated on February 2nd. Imbolc honors Brigitte, and she's a goddess of healing, fertility, and fire. And again, it's slightly more based on Celtic traditions, but it's also like it's between Imbolc is between the halfway point of spring and like fall. So it's like again like bringing celebrating of like new beginnings, but also like when transitioning from young to like adult to old and everything like that. So like I remember like with this one specifically, like I looked it up a little bit because I was like, what is this? No, yeah, like well, like it was pretty much like almost like a party. Like people will throw a party for again tradition of like from the old to the new, and if you want to again like depending on who it is that you're celebrating to at that time, you can ask for regenerative healing of like something that happened past of like to your younger self or like something happened to you recently. It's also a way of giving thanks to like the new that's coming into your life and giving thanks to that. And again, like with the whole fertility theme, because it's towards like springtime and everything, a lot of people also would do offerings saying like if they're hoping to like expand their family in some way or another, like they'll be like, please like give us like blessings that this will happen. I remember, again, I don't remember if it was like Greek or Roman. I could also be getting that wrong, and I'm sorry if I am. There were actual certain rituals that if you wanted to fall pregnant with either specifically a boy or a girl, like you had to do these certain specific rituals to pray for that child. Yeah, and when I looked them up, like in the beginning, they sound pretty much the same, and I think the only difference is like I want to say like either food or drinks and like clothing and color. Like that's like the only difference.
What was the name of this holiday?
It is called Imbolc.
Oh, okay.
Imbolc. And in the beginning, when I first read it, like I thought like this sounds a bit scary. But like the more I read into it, it's like okay, this is actually not that bad. Why the hell do we stop celebrating this? Like also like again like celebrating like the leaving of the old, coming into the new, celebrating the changing of seasons. Like it really is like just a big ass party, a celebration of the new beginnings and times and everything. And to me, it's like that sounds pretty fun. Why was that forgotten?
Yeah, I was reading here. It's like the Lunar New Year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that there are people who celebrate it.
No, yeah.
Still.
I'm pretty sure there is, but again, it's like unfortunately, it's like one of the ones that are not wildly known, and again, it's because Christianity. Like there was like no way they could have fully converted that, or like they thought it was too out there for their view, so they're like, okay, this one has to be forgotten. And to me, it's just like, why? Like,
but we sort of kind of do, right? Because like New Year's is kind of like that a little bit.
No, yeah,
although it's still winter, but.
Yeah, so, but that one's celebrated more towards like the end.
So I was looking up here, and there's a chant actually that they would sing. They would gather musical instruments and a chant to drive away the winter. So here's an example of the chant. It says, "Old man winter, it's time to go. Take with you these piles of snow. Melt, snow, melt. Spring will soon return. A flame, a fire, all the warmth it brings. Melt the snow, cold be gone. Welcome back the spring."
That actually sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind celebrating this again, because celebrating of like, oh yes, like we are renewed again, we are coming into our new beginnings, and it's just celebrating the fact that like of new life, of new beginnings and times.
And then also, we're Americans, so, and we were raised Catholic. So also like we're basing this off of I guess the traditions that we grew up with and the religion that we grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But because when is I don't know if this is the same thing, but when is the Chinese New Year? Is it around that time? Let me look it up.
That I don't
I
know.
think it is.
Okay, so the next Chinese New Year is going to be on January 29, which is around the same. Yeah, see, it says here Chinese New Year or the Spring Festival is a festival that celebrates the beginning of a new year on the traditional lunisolar Chinese calendar. It's also called the Spring Festival or the Lunar New Year. Like around the world, some people do still celebrate some of the stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
No,
again, we're
yeah,
just
and when I hear that, like to me, it's just like that is very interesting. Honestly, I know like again, certain celebrations, like if you're not invited, you can't just go and crash it. Like it is very rude. But to me, it's like
mhm.
if I could and if I was to be ever invited to witness how New Year is done in the Chinese tradition, to me it's like I would because like the certain like videos like on TikTok, YouTube. I want to say there was even a segue about it on it, like it's somewhere around in the news at one point.
Mhm.
And again, like it looks fun, like the celebrations, the firecrackers, the drinks, the food, the outfits you get to wear. It's just like that looks fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. What's the other holiday?
The other holiday, which this one is kind of getting popular-ish again, and it also falls on Halloween. It's called the Samahayan, and
Yeah.
and this one's mostly again like celebrating like I know this one for a fact like again kind I guess the one that could kind of like compare to it is like the Day of the Dead like in Mexican tradition
Right.
where it's this one I do know a bit more because like I was very interested in this one too. Kind of the same thing too, like everyone knows like oh this is a time where our magic between the physical and the spiritual world is at its thinnest. People, like, if they want to talk to a loved one that's passed, or like they still have some things that they want to say unfinished, things like that, or just like even see them or like talk to somebody, or even like to the old ancestors, or just to even like talk to like spirits, like for once, to actually see like of a silhouette. Because I think this is the only time of the year where you could kind of get close enough to actually see them in physical form. Now I say kind of because depending how strong your belief and connection is to it and everything, and how much energy you're willing to give, you can actually see an image, or get close enough to one, or you won't because like you're just be like, oh, I want to test it, see if it's real or not, and it's like, well, with that belief system, you're not gonna see anything.
I mean, you're not wrong.
No, yeah,
Oh
and
my
it's
god.
also like celebrating of the harvest too, like celebrating of the fruits and labors that people have had, that they've had growing up until that point, and like it's being shared along with everybody, not only with that of the living, but also with the spiritual realm too. Like again, it's like a big, almost like a big giant party, but it's not. I guess it wouldn't. I guess the only difference would be like it wouldn't be too crazy, because again, you just got to be a bit careful.
Mhm.
Hmm.
However, like people said too, because of the barriers are so thin, if someone there's like grievances or like someone's like oh bad karma's coming towards or whatever, that's also a time where it reaps its own bounty by like either giving you bad luck, misfortune, things like that. Which again to me when I heard this it's like that's kind of cool.
Bad luck. I'm out for it. So I was looking it up. So I'm on the website Lifey College, and according to this, so the origin of Halloween, and I will say this also before I read this. I have read, if you've heard something else, great, like let us know. But this is a festival which celebrated the end of summer. And although today Halloween is celebrated practically all over the world, its origin lies in the pagan Celtic festival of Samhain around 100 AD approximately. It was observed on the evening of the 31st of October with the big fire, making the end of the harvest season and thus the beginning of winter. Yeah, and then it gives you like little fun facts. So there's two that I would like to read to you guys. One is the jack-o'-lantern and the other one is trick-or-treating.
All right.
Oh yes.
Let's hear it.
So it says jack-o'-lantern comes from the Irish legend of Stingy Jack.
Oh, I have heard of him.
Legend has it that Stingy Jack invited the devil to have a drink with him, but Jack didn't want to pay for the drink. So he convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin. Instead of buying the drink, he pocketed the coin and kept it close to a silver cross in his house, preventing the devil from taking shape again. He promised to let the devil go as long as he would leave Jack alone for a year, and that if Jack died, the devil wouldn't claim his soul. After a year, Jack tricked the devil again to leave him alone and not claim his soul. When Jack died, God didn't want such a conniving person in heaven, and the devil, true to his word, would not allow him into hell. Jack was sent off into a night with only a burning coal to light his path. He placed the coal inside a carved-out turnip and has been roaming the earth ever since. People in Ireland and Scotland began creating their own creation of Jack's lanterns out of turnips, beets, and potatoes. The tradition traveled to the United States along with the immigrants, and people began to use pumpkins, native to North America, for the lanterns instead. That was really cool. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, neither
Yeah,
did
I remember hearing about Stingy Jack, and I actually heard of another version, kind of similar, but again, like, he apparently in this one, Stingy Jack not only managed to trick the devil, but he also managed to trick Death as well. And Death, upset with it, decided that he would play a trick on Stingy Jack, and he chopped off his head.
Oh, God.
And again, Stingy Jack wanting to get back his head and everything, like, he says, and he told him, like, if you're able to catch me, I'll give you back your head. And, you know, they do a chase and everything, and when he does catch him, he gives him back something else besides his head. He gives him back the turnip. But it's just a regular turnip, and Stingy Jack gets mad at him, saying, like, you give me back my head. It's like, I will give you back something for your head. Like, he said, like, he's worded in a specific way, like, it wouldn't give back his own head. So now, they say every year, like, Stingy Jack is always looking out for his head because he doesn't know where Death put it. And he uses the turnip and the coal in it to light his way because he can't see.
Oh,
Is that where
nice.
they got the story of the headless horseman?
Yeah, that's where they got the story for the headless horseman from of Stingy
Ooh,
Jack.
Wow.
that's really cool.
I just learned something today, you guys.
No, yeah, like, oh
Yay!
my god, every time I hear legends of people messing with deities, and whether it's like a good deity or a bad deity, god, devil, death, it's like, why do you think, oh, I'm never gonna have consequences of messing with them?
It's
Like,
like, fuck around and you'll find out.
pretty much. It's like, oh my god, it's like, you know what? You know, first of all, the fact that you have balls enough to, like, mess with the devil and death, kudos for you, man. Whatever. You had a good laugh.
Yeah.
But now you're spent the rest of your life, of your dead life, I guess, looking for your head. That's probably with death 24/7.
Alright, he has it on a keychain or something.
Probably.
Yeah, this is the head I got. You guys think about it.
That's what he said. Okay, moving on, children. So the next one fact, trick or treat. Trick or treating. Mostly celebrated by children, this tradition involves going from door to door with a terrifying costume, asking for sweets or money. When people open the door, the children ask, trick or treat. This means they have to give them sweets or they will suffer a horrible mischief. That's literally all it says here.
Oh. Well, that I
Oh
already
my
knew.
God, what? But wait, I didn't money. I never asked for money. What the heck?
You
I think
know,
at some point
actually
that must
know.
have been drawn out.
Yeah. I remember
Hold on.
being given money before, but it was like quarters.
Quarters.
You know what? You're
Hold on.
right. I do remember
was-
someone.
Yeah, it was the houses that didn't celebrate, so they would just give quarters to us. And of course, being a child, I was over here like, I'm rich.
That
But I
is
actually
so
know
funny.
that with the candy giving out, that's actually because on Halloween Day, back in the day, kids would go out and cause mayhem. And it got to a point where it was like people were scared that day and they would lock their doors, you know? But then their whole property would get destroyed. So one day, this lady caught the kids and told them, if I give you a treat, leave my property alone. And thus, that's what started, because once they said okay and they stuck to their word, every year on that day they would go and she'd be ready with candy so that they would not mess with her house.
Oh,
And
okay.
this trickled down because of course everyone around town saw and were like, how are you doing this? How are you getting them to stop? So everyone in that town did the same. They got
Mm.
candies, and they would say that they will trade them a treat for the trick instead.
Mm.
Thus, that became trick or treat.
Okay.
That is a good one. I like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, see, this is another example of how there's so many stories of how something began, right? Because I hadn't heard of that, but that
Mhm.
is really cool. I could see that.
Yeah, on those days, like they would still dress up, but just to dress up, and so that you couldn't identify which kid was doing what.
So I'm reading here from the Smithsonian Magazine, which says ancient Irish and Scottish people believed the veil between the worlds of the dead and living grew thin each year on November 1st, allowing demons to roam the earth again. Along with displaying offerings and lighting bonfires for spirits, the Celts, how do you say that name? Anyway, dressed up as the dead, hoping to blend in with real demons and therefore skirt spiritual confrontation. I will say, I remember there was a period in our lives when you guys were in elementary and we got involved in the church, the Catholic Church. And I remember that one year that we were just really involved. We were doing a lot of retreats and we would do prayer groups every week at the house. I'm sure you guys remember that.
I do.
Yep.
And that one Halloween, and keep in mind, Halloween has always been my super favorite holiday. I
Hmm.
loved it. But I was so convinced with a lot of the things that we were learning, or that I had been learning from the church, that we didn't celebrate Halloween. I don't know if you guys remember that because it was the devil's holiday. Do you guys remember that?
I remember being told that, but I don't ever remember not celebrating Halloween.
Me too. I will say, like, I remember being told that as well, but like, never not celebrating it.
Yeah, because I'll never forget that. Well, I'm not gonna name names, but you know how you guys remember the little group of people that we
Yeah.
had.
Oh yeah.
And there was this one
Hmm.
couple who, again, I'm not really gonna say names. I don't think they're watching or anything, but just to protect their privacy. But they had two younger sons two sons. One was your age, Musika, and the other one was your age, Noodles. And the older boy, I remember through such, because we decided on that day to get together in our house. We were gonna like do little things for you guys. Like we did. Maybe that's why you guys don't remember, because we did God, not events. What are they called? Well, yeah, like little, like we did stuff with you guys.
Like
Yeah.
little
That the
parties.
little group, like a little party, but it wasn't like a Halloween party, right? But it was on Halloween to kind of like prevent us from like taking you guys out or whatever. But I remember that their son, oh my God, he threw a fit. He threw a fit because he wanted to go trick or treating with his friends. But I think at the end, I think we all ended up telling like the lady, like, just let him, like, okay. And she did. She ended up letting him go. But I'll never forget that, because now thinking back, it's like, it's so crazy how we do get wrapped up in certain things. But that was the one and only time that I remember that we didn't really like dress up or anything. But after, before and after, but I tell you, it was just one year. But this is the reason I'm bringing it up. It's just that I just feel like that it's crazy how we celebrate, because now I think sometimes at the churches they have events for Halloween.
Hmm.
Today, this year, I've seen a lot of events popping up from churches. When I was a kid, I remember in some of the Christian churches, they would have haunted houses. But when you would go in their haunted house, and I did the air quotes, by the way, when I said haunted houses, because when you would go through their haunted house, it was really like, look, like they would show like this one person partying and drinking, and then the haunted part about it was that the devil would come and take them away. Like that's the kind of haunted house that they had, and
Oh my
at the
gosh.
end there
This.
was a message. Yeah, at the end they would give you some candy at the end and a pamphlet about how to follow, Jesus.
Oh my god. So
so
indoctrination. Got
I
it.
so I attended those kind of celebrations when I was a kid. But I also did the dressing up and going, house to house trick or treating, and you guys did that too, because
Hmm.
wanted to keep that tradition alive. Which Noodles and I were talking about how sad that some of that is kind of going away now.
Yeah. I was just about to say, I feel more kids now participate in the trunk or treats versus going and ringing the doorbells and walking up and down the streets going trick or treating.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad I grew up in the we're gonna go house by house versus okay, let's see how much candy you can get from the trunks of these people's cars. Like,
Yeah. All right, you guys. So I think we can wrap it up here, right?
I believe so.
No, yeah.
All right, ladies. Thank you so much. I'm Mita,
I'm Musica.
And I'm Noodles.
and we're bluntly talking. Bye.
Bye.
See you laters.
Hey, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and follow us on our other social media.